Hey guys, and welcome back to Mulberry Branch Farm. Today I've got a product to review and I am really excited about this one. Today we're going to be talking about the Vegiga raised garden beds. First off is this compact box that it comes in, because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm at home and the delivery guy drops something off at my door, I don't really like to have a big unwieldy box. So I really love that they kind of got the most bang for their buck in this more handleable box so that I can actually pick it up and move it. So kudos to Vegiga on that first off. And while it's the fall time here in East Central Indiana on Mulberry Branch Farm, the garden is still trying to do some things. We still have some jalapenos on the vine. I've got lavender blooming, chamomile's still coming up, right back into bloom, taking back over. We have some tomatoes that have just ripened that will be pulling, bell peppers that are getting ready to be pulled, and then that's almost a wrap for our growing season here. I know I can't be the only one that gets so sad after that first snow and frost. I start thinking about those long nights, the shorter days. It gets darker earlier, and I just know because my garden starts to go to sleep that it's coming towards the end of the season. So I'm really excited to actually have a garden project in November to do. And our project today in the garden is going to be setting up our Vegiga raised garden bed. And some of you can tell I have lots of raised gardens already. A couple years ago, we just decided that we wanted this area right next to our house to be our raised garden bed. We use lots of different raised garden beds that were built out of wood. You can see we've got old water troughs, both metal and plastic. I found this old dryer vent drum and decided, hey, that would be great to grow something in. We've got our little chicken planter, and then we do have some of the vertical gardens that my ducks just really love to jump on. So that's why they are disassembled right now. Not to mention we put in all of this landscape tarp. We tried mulch grows weeds, and it just got to the point with us, with our dairy goats and everything else going on our small farm and homestead, I couldn't worry about the weeds between the raised garden beds. So here we've got this down in preparation for some pea gravel, and you can see we just went ahead and we did all the way up to the deck. All the way to the deck. You can't eat the grass. And I'm just going to put some raised garden beds and some leisure sitting areas over here. So I'm super stoked about the Vegiga raised garden bed that I've got going on here, because I kind of need something to round out this area. And I've always wanted to try some of these boxed, ready to assemble raised garden beds. And Vegiga reached out and said, hey, do you want to give it a try? And I said, please, I need a little bit of garden inspiration in fall in Indiana to get me through to the springtime. So let's go ahead. We're going to unbox this. I'm excited and I can't wait to put it together with you guys and give it a full review. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up from start to finish with you guys. I'm going to try to sneak so that Mark doesn't come out here and realizes I'm trying to do this by myself, which will be another great way to review this product. Can I put it together myself? Because if I can, then it means anybody can put it together. Important. A complete guide to starting your garden, perfect for beginners. You can always learn things. Got a lot of assembly instructions in here. That's one of the things I really have loved so far when just looking at these guys on their website, is that there are so many different configurations, heights of beds. They look really sturdy. They are light enough to be able to handle on your own, so that if you maybe don't have a partner in crime when it comes to farming or homesteading or gardening, then it should be pretty easy for you to utilize, even if you don't have someone there to help you. Which Mark and I often kind of tag team things, and that means that sometimes we're not both working on the same project at one time. So being able to do something on my own or handle it on my own, or that's not unwieldy or too heavy, is a big plus for me. It's a big plus. Y'all, I really thought I was going to be able to sneak away and get this done before Mark realized I was up to something, but I guess his spidey sense went off. All right, step number one is done, which was taking the plastic film off of each one of the panels. Now we're moving on to putting these bad boys together. And one of the good things I love about the instruction guide, very easy to follow, it's very simple, which if you talk to him, for me, that it's like it has to be simple, or it's not gonna be able to be done.
Yeah.
Without his supervision.
The illustrations look pretty good.
The illustrations look really good, and I told you guys he was gonna figure out I was trying to do this by myself, so he came out and helped me do the rest of the film. So Mark does have a Phillips screwdriver. He's got a wrench. They do have their own little tools, huh?
I don't know if I'll need the wrench.
I don't think you'll need the wrench either, but it's always one of those things, always have more than what you need at the time.
What happened to the little...
I don't know. I put it down. This is what happens when I'm in charge of things. Oh boy. Mark was asking where the tool went, and it was in my hand. And he is not... He has, it's a laugh or cry, but in my defense, I did have the protective cover for the bed, and then the tool was tucked in like this. So I'm like, I don't know where it went.
Not a good excuse.
It's a perfect excuse.
All right.
That.
Tall?
I got the tall ones because I know I'm going to get old eventually. And even though I don't like the thought of getting old, I want to be able to garden when I'm old. So that is why I chose ones this tall, and I will give the measurements here in the bottom.
And then double check.
All right, guys, you know that product reviews are kind of not my thing here on this channel, but I have to say, when Veggiega approached me and asked if I wanted to try out one of their raised garden beds and to have a discount code that I can then share with all of you, I said, why not? I've always looked at these raised garden beds and kind of a little jealousy. I'm not gonna lie, they're just so pretty, they're so elegant, they're stylish, they look good, but I've always been super apprehensive about the price point and the quality. And after doing a little bit more research here with Veggiega, there were just a couple of things that really stuck out to me. And it is actually that their price point is quite low for the quality that I am seeing in the product that I'm assembling right now. I can tell that it's going to be durable. They do have a lifespan of 20 plus years, which is good to know that it's not going to break down before I do. I decided to get one of the 6-in-1 32-inch tall raised garden beds. They have that option for lower garden beds or very tall garden beds, and I went with the tall one because I know that at 36, I'm young and spry now, but the years will catch up with me, and I'm sure that I will still want to garden. This is going to make it to where I can garden much longer here on my property. Not to mention raised garden beds. I've always appreciated them over some of our in-ground garden beds because you can control weeds in them. You can keep pests at bay. There's a lot more heat dispersion in a raised garden bed. It doesn't seem like the soil gets so hot that it bakes the plants that are planted in it, but it also allows for extended gardening because with it being above ground, the sun hits it, especially on these metal panels, and will keep the soil warmer for longer, which means I can grow things longer here. And so far, even though Mark is here with me, helping me to set this up, I do think I could have done this by myself, which is a huge plus because not everybody has a wonderful partner in crime like I do in Mark on our homestead here. So it's nice to know that this could be done by one person. It comes in so many different varieties and options. Guys, look at the website. Just as we scroll down here, there are so many different color options. There are so many different types of ways that you can set up and customize these raised garden beds that, I mean, there really isn't a place in a garden or even in a small backyard where these wouldn't work for you. And I do like that there's a lot of versatility with that because we've always said it on our channel, homesteading is very fluid. It can be done in so many different ways. Gardening can be done in almost anywhere, just about anywhere, and having something that's this versatile makes it really wonderful. And now we have the brace bars in, and all we have to do now is finish the end and we are ready to roll. Then we'll be done.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty quick.
And before we move on to the hugelkultur part of our video with assembly nearing its completion here, I wanted to share with you that Veggiega has graciously given me a discount code of Mulberry that you can go down and click the link in the description below, use the discount code Mulberry and get 10% off of your entire purchase off of anything on their website. Perfect timing for Christmas. If you want to treat yourself, get yourself a little Christmas present, or get a Christmas present for someone you know that loves to garden and maybe needs a new garden space in their backyard or on their farm. All right, so the last part is we're going to be putting on the safety covering over the lip of the bed. Even though I think they've done a really good job of making sure that this lip is a little bit rounded, I bet if you did hit like one of these corners with your hands while you're moving, that would cause an injury. So they give you this nice protective covering, and it's easy. You can see that it's slotted so that we will just start it like this, and you just bring it along, step it on, step it on, step it on, and then we'll do that throughout the rest of the bed. It's going to be really easy, but you guys can see the bed is done. We've got our braces in the correct places.
Still need more bolts.
We still need to do more of the bolts, but for right now, we're pretty much done with what we're going to be able to get today. The next steps after I get the safety covering on is that I'll be taking you guys through how we fill our beds. And with a bed this tall, the 32-inch 6-in-1 by Veggiega, I think Hugelkultur is going to be perfect because of how tall it is. That's a lot of dirt, and we want to make sure that with it being this tall, we can keep our garden very moist and nutrient dense. And Hugelkultur is a great way to do that. The first layer of Hugelkultur that I really like to use is used bedding from the goat barn. Low waste is a thing, and if I can use the waste off of my goats to also feed some of the crops that we put into these raised garden beds, the better. So the first layer that we use is always going to be bedding from the goat pen. It just is, I have a lot of it. It makes a great filler. It's nutrient dense with a lot of their manure. What I'll be doing next is I've got a bunch of old logs over this way, and Mark's clearing some things back down here where you can kind of see the tractor in the background. But next is going to be old logs. I've got some logs that are set in with the buck pin. We're doing some clearing over this way. So I will be using some of those newly cut dead logs to put in here to make a nice layer, a base layer for Hugelkultur in this wonderful Veggiega bed. I'll also be pulling from our compost bins here that we've had and that we've been filling for the entirety of the year. You can tell there are some things here at the top, but at the bottom, all I have to do is just give this a yank up, and it's gonna let some of the fresh compost out. And I'll take some of that from here, put it in my Veggiega bed over there. Aside from that compost bin, I actually have a compost pile out in with the goats that is just some of the darkest, prettiest soil that's been just our goats bedding and manure that's been left out in the sun, rained on. The dog goes and digs up through it, the chickens go and shovel through it, and it is just some really, really wonderful soil that I will be taking to put in the Veggiega bed. And I'm really hoping that because Black Friday is this upcoming Friday, that maybe I'll be able to find some soil on sale, or with it being this time in Indiana, it might be marked down just so I can put like a finishing layer on there. I can really appreciate how strong and sturdy it is already. Not to mention strong and sturdy, but look at the color. I don't really have a whole lot of color in my other beds. They just seem like they're easier to move by a single person, because Mark didn't help me move this here. I moved it from over here by myself before we filled it. All right, while I wasn't able to get any of the soil I was really hoping to get a hold of, I did go ahead and get some more bedding. Now this is some pretty old bedding that I've got going on here, and I will be doing a little bit of a water covering for it to help to get this down in those crevices, because the one thing that I don't like about using smaller logs like I had more of this year is that they create a lot of like air gaps, and the only way really to correct that is through the natural breaking down process of decomposition of the branches. Sorry, the ducks are like, where's our dinner? They made me lose my train of thought. And then when I do actually put soil on the top here, the more I run water over a thin layer, the more it'll kind of carry it down to the bottom and give me a really nice, good fill, because I am sure that if I don't do anything with it right now the way that it is, that I'm going to have like a lot of sinkage, which it'll look like it's all the way up to the top here, but then as time goes by, even probably by the spring, it'll be way down, which really isn't that big of a deal because I'm not going to be really planting until next spring, and I'm getting ready to take more of the compost over there for our in-ground garden. So I'll kind of be doing a lot of things over here in the garden area. But I think that's gonna do it for us today on our video, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while we assembled and did a quick review of the Veggiega raised garden beds. They are really pretty. I have not been able to really look away from it. I'm really excited how it kind of caps in this area so that I can put some small, more vertical gardens here in the middle. And I'm very happy with how these beds have turned out and the quality that I'm seeing in them. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know no goats in this one, guys, but trust me, there's more goat stuff coming because we have babies. We have babies on the farm, and I can't wait to share the story with you of how they've gotten here. But you guys, I hope that you leave your comments down in the section below. Do any of you use these raised garden beds? What do you think of them? How many years have you used them? Give me all the tips, tricks, little pros, cons that you can think of, because I love to hear what you guys have to say down in our comment section. But in the meantime, guys, I hope that you are all staying safe out there and being kind to one another. We will catch you all in the next one. God bless you. Bye, y'all.